This video was sponsored by EA. I received early access and a code to the Crystal Creations stuff pack. I didn't really know where to start, so I decided to play in my public save file. It's called the Fantasy Save File by Little Red Riding Sim, and I invite all of you to try it too. And the neighborhood we're playing in is called Gnome Creek, and there you will find lots of different gnome archetypes. In this case, I'll be playing with one of the gem collectors or merchants of Gnome Creek, known as Otto Blackspring. But without further ado, let's introduce Otto, gem merchant and resident of Gnome Creek. I wanted to see perhaps if we should show some of the assets for men that came in this pack, and I'm afraid there isn't a lot, except this hair is really adorable, so I did decide to just speed through all of the hair options and swatches for the two-toned hair, and I think he looks good in all of them.
Ooh.
So not a lot of options for men. 3 hairs, some in my opinion very bland tops and designs, and the colors are really boring too, and only 1 pair of pants. But as you'll see here, the boots are to die for, and he does look really good in the pants. But the boots are an amazing addition, I think, to our games. In my opinion, it has really nice textures, and it doesn't look like anything we already have in the game. We join Otto at Diamonds and Gems in Gnome Creek, and if you're playing the Fantasy Save File, this lot is ready to use, but I'll also include a description down below or a link so that you can download just the lot if that's more your game and that's more what you're interested in. You'll notice in the video just how surprised I am, and I keep rechecking that there's only 1 wallpaper, and I feel like this was such a missed opportunity because the wallpaper that we did get is absolutely stunning. It has that dark academia feel for sure. It's very in tune, I think, with the aesthetic they were going for. I wish they would have done more. I wish we would have seen a little bit more dark academia, maybe some bolder patterns. But yeah, that's what we got. It still looks really nice, and you'll see how it blends really well with all of the base game stuff, as well as Get to Work, Jungle Adventure, Realm of Magic. Ooh, Paranormal stuff pack too. I think it's gonna go really well with the Paranormal stuff pack, as well as the paranormal gameplay, occult and fantasy gameplay. That's part of the reason I decided to show how this is going to integrate in the save, because I really think this is like an occult pack in disguise. We got some really nice display shelves and cabinets, and they again integrate really well with a lot of the wood swatches that we have in the game already. It looks really good. It doesn't look out of place at all. It's definitely not a pack that needs to stand on its own. It just integrates seamlessly with everything else in the game, and I think that's one of the real strengths of this pack and something I really love. And I feel like all of these display cabinets and things that we got is also, because it can be someone who is a collector and someone who collects gems. It can also be for, the shopping experience. So someone who wants to do this as a hobby but sell, or, it's the same concept as Home Chef Hustle. This is a hobby hustle, so to speak. So I think it's really, when you look at the assets, it starts making sense where they were going with this. Certainly selling jewelry is a big part of this pack. Okay, so now for the big question, can we have a retail store that's also a jewelry shop? I've put Otto to work. He's going to be manufacturing jewelry, and so I decided to get him a little shop assistant so that she could take care of the shop and the shopping experience, and he's more the owner as well as the craftsman for the shop. I have to say, if you play in this way, it feels really authentic. It feels really whimsical seeing him tinkering away in the gem shop. And I just love that he can be working in the background while the shop is running. So that is a really nice part of integrating this pack with retail. So Otto's gemology skill, he's just acquired it. He doesn't even have level 1 gemology yet. And that's part of the reason I will recommend to you, if you're going to do it this way, it's a really nice way to practice your craft while still making money, but have, other things to sell. So gems, this has always been a gem store. We've always been able to sell gems since, Get to Work came out at first. So gems is, an obvious thing to be selling here, but you can sell basically anything in the beginning and then gradually build up your stock of jewelry that you sell. I had a little test run. I tested, with different jewelry to see if the materials that I used actually had an impact on the way that the jewelry appeared, and yes, it does. So that's exciting. I'm not mad about the retail system in Get to Work. I much prefer Sims 2 Open for Business, and I played Sims 2 Open for Business for so long that I find retail in Sims 4 to be incredibly frustrating. So I never really got into retail that much, but as you can see, the assistant really is absolutely useless. I ended up doing most of the work myself. She would greet customers but not ring them up. Of course, it's Carl's Guides to the Rescue with Retail Reloaded. I quickly looked it up and the customers queue up at the cash register. So highly recommend checking out his mod for retail. It's just, he uses the core code, but he fixes some of the things that make it a really frustrating experience in Sims 4. So do check out Retail Reloaded by Carl's Guides. Since my jewelry piece wasn't really selling, I did get very curious about it and I did do a little test run. So hang around because I'm going to compare the retail experience with the yard sale experience, because this pack does come with a selling table. It was Sims chaos as usual. People were doing push-ups and sit-ups in the shop. Vampires were creeping, Sims were playing with clay, and there was also a future cube that made everyone cry. I'm guessing their future looked tragic. Don't ask me why it takes this long to ring up a customer. They only bought one item. I went to check. You would think he was solving the world's hardest math problem and asking the customer to assist for some reason. I got so bored I squirreled into checking if we could add jewelry to a piece of clutter, which, by the way, no, we can't. The customers were browsing, but no one was buying. But miraculously, we were starting to turn a profit, despite the fact we were losing money on the sales associate's salary that was just standing around while we were doing all the work. Oh no, wait, we're taking a nap, I guess. I still hadn't finished my second piece of jewelry, and the first piece was not really generating any interest. I guess my skill had been too low while crafting it. We're just restocking. Still restocking. Still restocking. At least it's fun to look at all the interesting characters that come into the shop. This is part of the reason why I play with occults. It just makes for much more interesting scenery. Yep, we're still restocking. Our sales associate is doing, this customer was playing with her clay, so perhaps she was working now. Where is she? I got excited for a second. She was interacting with customers, but no. She swapped the clay for the future cube. She now has the darn future cube. Whatever you do, if you're opening a retail, hide the clay and the future cubes, I guess. For one happy second, I thought perhaps she would ring up the customer. But this is just a mod I have in to stop the constant phone scrolling, since it doesn't always fit the characters and storylines in the fantasy save. In the interest of everyone who don't necessarily find all the characters in the shop that interesting to look at, I decided at this point to speed up the video, because I think everyone gets the idea. If shop assistants could do the work, even if they did it badly, but at least look like it's not a game glitch and more of a game mechanic, this could be a really cute store, and we still turned a profit today. There you go, everyone. If this is your dream, this is what jewelry store gameplay looks like. At this point, I was ready to go home, but we did have a cursed prince playing with a ball of clay, and since this was the most amusing part of the gameplay I explored, I let the camera roll. Otto was tired and so was I, and I was curious to see what would happen in a yard sale situation instead. So we were off to Henford-on-Hagley to check on Belle and Maurice, who both had tinkered to gemology level 10, which seemed to help. The jewelry was selling to all sorts of interesting characters. Bertha the barmaid from Port Sulani and Captain Hook from Grimtosa. This was a much cozier neighborhood vibe, and the animations and interactions seemed much more natural and meaningful. Sims greeted each other and reacted to each other organically. And it's interesting to note that most of the video footage I show here is just Belle tending the table. The rest was autonomous action and interaction. Belle and Maurice turned a profit of almost 3,000 simoleons from a short yard sale, although they had been crafting jewelry to build up stock for most of the day. Overall, I think my conclusion is that the yard sale is inherently more rewarding just from the point that it actually works. But I do think a retail store with jewelry could be successful if the employees were skilled and doing their jobs, and the craftsperson had more gemology skill. I hope you enjoyed this little overview of selling jewelry in 2 different ways.